What does healthy weight even mean when you get old? The answer might overturn everything you thought you knew. Many people think, the thinner, the better. At first, most people's instinct is, of course, the leaner the better. Being light, sprightly, and trim, that's health, right? But in real life, haven't you ever noticed something strange? Some older folks are thin, very trimmed in appearance, almost delicate. They look like they could float when they walk. Yet their energy is low. They fall sick often, end up in hospital repeatedly. Meanwhile, other seniors appear a little chunky by comparison, but they're sturdier than their peers. Their cheeks are rosy, they walk steadily, and they manage their daily lives more independently. Could it be that living longer is not always tied to being slim? Could being a bit heavier be healthier? Is this just coincidence? Actually, no. There's already scientific evidence behind it. In older people, body weight is directly connected to how long they live and to their quality of life. Over the years, as age increases, those whose weight increases a little tend to have the advantage. In 2021, the prestigious medical journal Annals of Epidemiology published a long-term study conducted by researchers at Ohio State University in the U.S. The study began in 1948 and tracked 4,576 participants over 73 years. The investigators factored in gender, past medical history, lifestyle habits, and many other variables. They found that those who maintained a normal weight when younger but became slightly heavier in old age had lower mortality rates. In other words, for seniors, being a little plump often pays off. Today, I want to peel back that truth and show you why the notion the thinner the healthier might be completely wrong in advanced age. 1. The newly announced senior ideal. What weight should elders really aim for? Just recently, the National Health Commission, in the original context, released official standards for Seniors' Body Mass Index, BMI. It clearly states that the BMI standards for elderly people should be relaxed a little. For people over 80, the ideal BMI range is 22.0 to 26.9. For those aged 65 to 79, the range is 20.0 to 26.9. For people aged 18 to 64, the usual standard is 18.5 to 23.9. What does this mean? It means that as you grow older, giving yourself a little buffer in weight may actually be safer. Many folks hearing this are astonished. Why are the weight standards for seniors higher than for younger people? But don't forget, these aren't arbitrary numbers. They come from a wealth of long-term cohort studies and clinical evidence. The authoritative data show that seniors with low BMI tend to have much higher mortality, whereas seniors whose BMI stays in the 22.0 to 26.9 window tend to live longer and recover better. In medical literature, there is even a term for this, the obesity paradox. In younger years, being slim is often praised as healthy, but once you enter old age, being too skinny becomes a risk, and being moderately overweight can act as a kind of longevity insurance. However, beyond the absolute BMI number lies something more important: trends in weight change. The medical community widely agrees that if an older person loses 2 kilograms, about 4.4 pounds, in a single month, or 3 to 5 kilograms, 6.6 to 11 pounds, in half a year, even if their BMI is technically within standards, that unexplained weight loss must raise alarm bells. It may signal underlying chronic disease, malabsorption, or even cancer. Hospitalization is also a high-risk time for weight loss. Many family members believe that hospitalization is just rest time for seniors, but the reality is harsh. When an elderly person lies in bed just one day, muscle loss proceeds at a rate double that of a younger person. Over a week in hospital, losing 2 to 3 kilograms of body mass is common. And those lost muscles are no easy matter. Restoring them can take months, or even longer. Thus the saying goes, once a senior is hospitalized, it takes 6 months to recover. There's more truth in that than we might like to admit. Of course, being overly heavy is not a blessing either. If BMI exceeds 27.5, especially in the form of central obesity, large waist, thick belly, the various metabolic risks surge: hypertension, diabetes, fatty liver, joint wear and tear, etc. In short, there is a safe zone in the middle. It's like riding a bus. Standing in the middle of the carriage is the most stable. standing too far forward or backward. One sudden stop and you're likely to fall. The medical logic behind weight in seniors. So, how can older people find the balance between health and weight? Why seniors' weight guidelines can't just follow the usual standards. Research shows that weight management in seniors must be more nuanced. It's not enough to strive for weight loss for its own sake. One must maintain muscle mass while controlling fat and consider existing chronic diseases and nutritional balance. The emphasis should be on improving functional capacity, not just dropping numbers on a scale. If an older person becomes underweight, many health risks come. Increased frailty and malnutrition, accelerated muscle loss, sarcopenia, more frequent fractures, and diminished ability to live independently. On the other hand, modest overweight provides a buffer, better nutrient reserves, improved resistance to infection, slower progress of some chronic diseases, and energy supply in times of stress, like surgery or illness. Particularly, older cancer patients on chemotherapy or immunotherapy sometimes have better survival if they are slightly overweight. Weight is more than just a number. It reflects a senior's nutritional status, energy reserves, and ability to withstand stress. Imagine an 80-year-old man who falls and fractures a bone. If he's too light, with low bone density and malnutrition, post-operative infection risk is high and recovery may be so difficult that he might never walk again. But a senior whose weight lies in a reasonable range often has better resilience. It's not about being fat or skinny. It's about being able to live the second half of life with strength and dignity. A detail often overlooked. As people age, they become more vulnerable to cold. A major reason is the reduction in body fat, which acts as insulation. Seniors who are too light get chilled more easily in winter, and that can precipitate disease. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Geriatrics in China, in the original setting, found that among seniors hospitalized in winter, those with low BMI had a 37% higher incidence of lung infections compared to those with normal weight. This is not coincidence. It's a breach in the body's natural defenses. 3 real stories. Weight as a hidden indicator of health. Let me share 3 illustrative examples, adapted to a Western setting, to show how complex this weight-health relationship is. Example 1. Mrs. Evelyn Moore, thin but fragile. Evelyn is 85 years old, stands 5'0", 152 centimeters, and weighs only about 86 pounds, 39 kilograms. Her family often compliments her for her delicate, elegant physique, believing that's a hallmark of health. But on one occasion, a mild infection landed her in the hospital for a week. During that short time, her strength plunged. She went from being able to walk with help to being fully dependent. The attending physician sighed. It wasn't that her acute illness was severe. Her physical foundation was too frail, and even a minor perturbation knocked her down. Studies have already confirmed, for seniors over 80 with BMI under 20, risks of infection and mortality rise sharply. So, lean and elegant is not necessarily a blessing. Sometimes it is a signal of danger. Example 2. Mr. Robert Davis appears normal but hides deficiency. Robert is 82, 5'6", 167 centimeters, tall, and weighs 154 pounds, 70 kilograms. That gives him a BMI around 25. Many onlookers would call that acceptable. However, when doctors did body composition analysis, they discovered he had severe muscle depletion, especially in his lower limbs, nearly on the brink of sarcopenia. Physically, he needed a cane to walk, moved slowly, and his reaction times were sluggish. So while the scale looked normal, much of his protective muscle bank account was empty. Studies indicate that for every 10% loss of muscle in seniors, fall risk increases by 15% and fracture risk by 20%. This is why focusing on the number on the scale often conceals deeper vulnerabilities. Example 3. Mr. James Harper, misunderstood, overweight elder. James is 78, with a BMI of about 26. His daughter often frets that he has let himself go and urges him to lose weight. Yet after a thorough medical evaluation, the doctors found that all his vital indicators, blood pressure, cholesterol, bone density, muscle strength, were stable or nicely within healthy ranges. The real problem was his wife, Mary, who had lost 22 pounds over the past year and now suffered from anemia, weakened bones, and fatigue. She could barely take a few steps. The doctor quietly reminded them, in old age, it's not that thinner is better, it's that being too thin is the risk. This is precisely the essence of the obesity paradox. Although lean may be better when young, in old age modest overweight becomes a protective factor. 3-step weight management for seniors. So, how should seniors manage weight in a safe, beneficial way? Here is a practical 3-step approach. Step 1. A comprehensive assessment. Before embarking on any weight plan, every senior should undergo a comprehensive geriatric assessment, CGA, in a geriatric medicine clinic. This includes general medical evaluation, physical functional assessment, quality of life assessment, and more. The idea is to weigh risks and benefits. How much intervention is safe and beneficial for you individually, rather than following blanket guidelines. Step 2. A precision nutrition plan. Protein intake. Protein is the building block for muscles and immunity. For an average elderly person, the recommendation is 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. For example, if someone weighs 60 kilograms, 132 pounds, that means 60 to 72 grams of protein daily. For seniors already facing sarcopenia, loss of muscle, the recommendation is higher, 1.2 to 1.5 g per kg. Emphasis should be on high-quality protein, eggs, fish, lean meat, dairy, and supplements like whey protein, with at least 50% coming from high-quality sources. Also ensure essential amino acids like leucine are adequately consumed. Calcium and vitamin D. Bones need their support. Aim for 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day, for example, about 500 milliliters of milk plus 100 g of tofu plus a 500 milligram supplement, and adequate vitamin D. Approximate 600 IU daily or via 30 minutes of safe sun exposure. Foods like milk, beans, small fish, e.g. sardines, seaweed, and dark leafy greens are good sources. Dietary fiber and fluids. Fiber and water help maintain metabolism and digestive balance. Aim for over 300 g of vegetables per day, of which at least 50% should be dark green types like broccoli, spinach, kale, and about 200 g of fruits. Choose lower sugar fruits like apples, blueberries, berries, tomatoes, kiwi. Drink about 1,500 milliliters of water daily, unless your cardiologist or nephrologist has specific restrictions. Salt, sugar, and fat control. Salt. Keep sodium under 5 g/day, equivalent to a beer bottle capful. Be mindful of hidden salt in soy sauce, pickled foods, processed foods. Sugar. Favor foods rich in resistant starch, e.g. cooled potatoes, rice eaten cold, legumes. Avoid sugary beverages and desserts. Fat. Keep total fat intake to 25 to 30 g/day, preferring unsaturated fats, olive oil, nuts, seeds, and limiting saturated fats, animal fat, butter. Meal frequency and cooking methods. Eat smaller, more frequent meals if appetite is poor, perhaps 3 main meals plus 2 snacks. Choose foods that are soft, easy to chew and digest. Favor cooking methods like steaming, boiling, stewing. Avoid deep frying or heavy grilling. Step 3. A science-based exercise prescription. Resistance training. Seniors should aim to do resistance strength training 2 to 3 times per week for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. You don't need fancy weights. You can use resistance bands, ankle weights, light dumbbells, or simply wall sits or squats. The key is to feel the muscles working. Aerobic exercise. For general cardiovascular health, older people should control heart rate within the formula, e.g. maximum heart rate is almost equal to 170 minus age. For a 70-year-old, that means their workout heart rate shouldn't exceed about 100 beats per minute. If someone has heart disease, be more cautious. Stay under 75% of maximum. Carry nitroglycerin if prescribed. Good. Safe aerobic exercises include brisk walking, swimming, or riding a stationary bike. Balance training. Combine aerobic, resistance, and balance work. Classical mind-body exercises like Tai Chi, Qigong, or gentle yoga are helpful, In a US setting, one might think of gentle chair yoga, Tai Chi classes, or balance drills. During any exercise session, closely monitor and record blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and subjective fatigue. In addition, increase everyday activity, doing chores, walking around the home, gardening, all count as movement. In closing, weight is an older person's life weather gauge. For young people, body weight might just be about aesthetics or figure control. But for those over 80, weight becomes the most visual, intuitive life weather gauge. Studies repeatedly show, for seniors whose BMI falls below 20, infection and mortality rates rise significantly. If BMI climbs above 27.5, risks of hypertension, diabetes, fatty liver, and joint disease escalate sharply. But seniors with BMI between 22.0 and 26.9 tend to live longer, recover better, and face fewer surprises. This is why being too thin is no longer glamorous. It can be dangerous. Being too fat is not a blessing. It's a burden. True health means having a bit of base, a little substance, muscles, nutritional reserves, the ability to walk on your own, eat on your own, take care of yourself. In the face of disease and accidents, you can absorb shocks. So, starting today, get a reliable scale at home. Weigh yourself at least once per week and monitor changes. In every meal, ensure protein, even if it's just an egg, a glass of milk, a small fish, to help preserve your muscles. Go for a walk whenever you can. Keep the body moving. Don't let it get too lazy. Remember, living a long life is not the hardest part. Living well is the key. May all seniors around the world find that just right weight. Live long, live comfortably, live with dignity. That's all for today's sharing. Thank you for reading. I hope what I've shared strikes a chord with you. If you like, please consider subscribing so we can accompany you every day, grow together, and slowly age together. Until next time, I'll see you then.